Jane, stay with us. I want to bring in Wes Moore, native of Baltimore, who knows a lot about that city and lives there. Wes, talk us through this. How is this playing right now in Baltimore?
Well, Willie, this is a really tense time in Baltimore, and it's tense and it's heartbreaking because I think for so many people in Baltimore, this is something that people had been talking about for a very long time. And as the mayor even said, we were one incident away from watching all the protests that happened during the summer. We weren't insulated from that, and now this incident has just happened. And I think there's been a larger frustration, not just about the communication after the death, but as Jane was talking about before, from the time he was arrested to the time he actually passed away. And and actually leads to a question I even have for Jane. I think for anybody who's really involved and cares deeply about law enforcement, I would actually argue that you would want to be at the tip of the spear at this conversation, because fact is, when you're talking about the work of law enforcement, if you aren't able to do things like recruit in the communities that you are actually working in, if you're not able to do things like provide get human intelligence and get people to work and cooperate with you, it makes it a very, not only a tense situation for police, but also a very difficult environment for you to do your job. Have we heard police voices who are out there in front talking about things like accountability, talking about things that we need to review, what is happening, and how to do a better job of making sure these incidents don't happen again?
Can I interject there with you? Because, Wes, I know you know this community very well. You know this city very well. I was talking to a veteran police officer yesterday who joined the force in the mid-'90s, and he said to me, back in the day, 20 years ago, making an arrest was the last resort. What we have seen in this city and many urban areas over the past 20 years, zero tolerance policing.
Yes.
We had in 2004, 5, and 6 in this city under the mayoral term of Martin O'Malley, there were 100,000 arrests per year in a city of 620,000 people. That's a lot of arrests. Those numbers have come down, but they are still in the tens of thousands. So rather than a last resort, what's happened under zero tolerance policing is that arrests have become the first resort. And you've got this very negative interaction going on dozens and dozens of times a day between police officers and the citizens in this city and in many other cities. And when that happens, you're going to have bad results some of the time.
Jane, when are we going to get the police reports in this case?
Well, the initial affidavit of why he was, chased down and put on the ground, et cetera, that's already out because that's a public record. I don't quite know what the Baltimore Police Commissioner's self-imposed deadline of May 1st, that police investigation is going to conclude on May 1st. I find it really odd that there's been a deadline set because there's a lot that is not known about the injury, about his condition, et cetera, et cetera. What if hidden in the autopsy report somewhere is some little injury that wasn't obvious at first that says, oh, wait a minute, maybe we need to go back and look at that. If you put a May 1st deadline on your own investigation of this case, I don't quite know what that says about, how thorough you're going to be. I don't know what his plan is. I cannot imagine that the plan here is to turn over the statements that have been made by these police officers that were voluntary before there's any kind of criminal case, if there's going to be a criminal case. I just can't imagine that would go into the public realm. So, Lawrence, I don't know. That would be a great question. I find it really odd that this May 1st deadline has been set by the Baltimore Police Department to conclude this investigation. That's an awfully short time frame.
And I can tell you, Jane is right too, because listen, even after that May 1st deadline, there hasn't still been an indication as to when the report will actually then be released and when all the information will then be released to the public. That's just the deadline that they want to have the report complete. So truthfully, the next 6 days is going to help determine what the next 6 months is going to be like in Baltimore.
Jonathan Capehart?
Absolutely.
Jane, I have a